And at the end of fear, oblivion.
I'm just trying to figure out why anyone would join something that is so destructive, something that is ready to just dismantle all of Western civilization and what they think is on the other side of that.
I think it's because they see the military as doing exactly what you just said, destroying the West, burning everything down, going and spreading terror. These wars in the Middle East and a lot of this military action has not made my generation comfortable. It scares the shit out of us. And I mean, you wonder why so many people are killing themselves. They're scared a nuke's going to drop on them tomorrow, or that someone's going to come into their country on parachutes and rape them and murder them. And then the other half that don't think that are supporting it. So it's like we're not put in a helpful place when our entire life, every time I turn on the news or YouTube, it's a snuff film. It's someone getting their head blown off. I have watched thousands of people die. Who could have said that back in the 1990s unless you've been in the military? On the computer screen, with my eyes, watching war footage since the time I've been a little kid, I have watched thousands of people get slaughtered. That's not healthy, and that's my entire generation. And I think that when it comes to Antifa, a lot of those people, they're like, you know what? If we can just get the power, if we can get the people behind us, if we can get the people with the guns to support us, if we can get the politicians to take control of all of these things, we can stop it and create this brand new utopia, which of course, historically speaking, looking at communism, it's never a utopia. It's always just a hellscape. But there's never really been much education. Like, even with my mom being a history teacher, you know, she had books on the shelf of like history throughout the ages. And even having the communist books there, I was always more interested in the fascism and the Nazi books. And the schools also kind of help facilitate that. We never take the time to learn about communism. We only ever learn about Nazism.
Right.
And that's a huge problem because if we understood communism the same way we understood fascism, most people would not have hopped onto this at all. The same way most people don't hop onto white supremacy. They really don't. The numbers are very small.
Okay, I've got a few things on that one. Normally I'd have a pen with me, but I didn't have a pen at my desk. Okay, so the first thing is that is your generation controlled by fear?
100%. 100%. I mean, you see it in terms of anxiety. You see it in the way we speak. A lot of the activists, they can't go out. Like the WPATH files, I don't remember if it was like Sky News or something. They asked like 33 different people from WPATH to come forward. None of them came forward to make a statement, but they had one activist come on, and he spent like 10 or 15 minutes talking about his autism and his trauma and his struggle and his this and his that and his fear for the future and his fear for the current moment, saying nothing substantive the entire time. And it's just fear, 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 fear. I'm scared of this. I'm scared of you. I'm scared of that. And my entire generation operates in that way. It's why we can't say anything to each other. Oh, you say something that's a little off colored, people look around and look over their shoulders, and it's like, no, lock eyes. We're having a conversation. It's fine. No one's going to get upset. Like, relax. But my generation is losing its ability to do that and think critically.
I have so many books, from curriculum books to books about art, and unfortunately they're in my car because of my campaign. But but they will say things like, "Prepare for your cultural revolution," for a middle school book on art.
Maoism.
And we don't know, and that's why I think that our young people are being used. My argument is that they're being used, I think, in the same way that African Americans before the 1930s, they were intact families. They believed in education. All things were upwardly mobile. But somebody taught them to resent. Somebody taught them that resentment was more powerful than hope. Resentment was more powerful or more useful than going out and doing for yourself. And now I see that happening with our young people. What makes people willing to turn on their neighbors?
Fear. You know, just the fear of we can't talk anymore, the fear of not being heard, you know, the fear of homophobia or racism, that everyone who voted for Trump wants this one particular future. Just like you want your utopia, well, everyone must have utopian thinking. They must want a MAGA utopia. What does that look like? It looks like 1940s National Socialism. It looks like Jim Crow. It looks like this. It looks like that. And meanwhile, the past 4 years, the Biden, well, 3 going on 4 years of the Biden administration I've been watching, every single thing that we were scared that Trump was doing, that's since been disproven for the most part, Biden's been doing it in full force. And where's Antifa been? I mean, the head fascist in chief right now, we've gone back to the point where the presidents are warmongers and criminals again, but they use Donald Trump as a deflection point to where now we don't look at the Bushes and the Obamas. Now we don't look at the Bidens. Now we look at the Trumps. Now we look at the potential Trumps. And that was a powerful tool because, like I said in the beginning, my generation just wanted accountability. Why did you guys knock down the towers? Why did you go steal oil from the Middle East? Why were you authorizing drone strikes on children? Now we're not going to get those answers because everyone's always Trump, 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 Trump. And meanwhile, we have Joe Biden, who literally signed off on drone strikes during the Obama administration with the man himself, scot clean. But don't worry, he's mentally unstable. So if he does need to be caught for anything, we won't hold him accountable. It just makes no sense.
You can't, a 25-year-old from a 6-year-old, honestly, sometimes I will talk to people and they will physically walk backwards if they don't agree.
Mm-hmm.
And
I get that a lot too.
And it's just, what is going on? One of the things that I saw with Antifa was that they would march in lockstep. They would come to one of our events, like a Back the Blue or something like that, right? And they would come to our events in lockstep, like do the whole pigeon-toed turn and talk to you the exact same way. And you just thought, do you not know what the Nazi brown shirts are? So you guys go out there, and I'm just going to be blunt. Sorry, I don't mean to be offensive, but
No,
I lived in Seattle in 2020. I watched the crazy. I actually was jumped by a girl who seriously could have been my daughter. She looked so much like me. But I carried a sign that had Martin Luther King's face on it, and it said, "Character matters, reject CRT. They are using us." They were organized enough that 2 girls were talking to me, and one of them turns around, must call the other girl. She gets on her phone, and by the time I get back to my car, the girl is waiting for me, glare in her eyes, and she says, "I will not allow you to spread your hate." And I was like, I was so shocked. I'm like, my sign isn't hateful. You know, so I didn't understand. I specifically tried to make a peaceful sign, but the reality is that we were being used. We were being used for pawns. We're being pushed into these ideological boxes. And if you don't fit into that box, well, then somebody can punch you in the middle of the street. And when you get up and go and tell their leader, they say, well, you shouldn't have been carrying that sign, should you?